Activists in Montgomery County, Maryland say Martha Schaerr is a stealth school board candidate concealing her record of anti-gay activism. Schaerr, critics say, is not telling voters that just a few years ago she played a major role in a bruising and losing legal battle by right-wing Christian groups trying to block a new sex education curriculum in the Montgomery County Public Schools.
She is trying to run as a stealth candidate.
Schaerr has also not revealed to voters that she's on the board of the Family Leader Network, a group that fights same-sex marriage and acceptance of homosexuality. The Family Leader Network, which appears tied to the Mormon Church, was one of the groups that sued the school district over sex ed. In her opening statement at a September candidates forum in Rockville, Schaerr did not include her work against sex ed, and, unlike the other candidates, she avoided big-picture issues.
Although my 20 years of experience with Montgomery County Public Schools has brought me lifelong friends and wonderful memories, they've also persuaded me that the board needs to do more to empower the four stakeholders involved in education: taxpayers, parents, students, and teachers. For example, a teacher recently told me we have 20 students in our school who know that short of a violent act, they can do anything they want without serious consequences. Then there are about 80 additional students who will follow their lead. This alarming situation is the direct result of a new NCAPS suspension policy. Another example is when I asked my ninth grader for why he's failing a class. He says, "Oh, the teachers haven't inputted the grades in Edline yet. I've got an A or an E, Mom." Our policy of allowing teachers 3 weeks to update the Edline policy, Edline report, is a problem for parents. I'd like to empower the stakeholders so that we can serve them all better.
Memory of the long fight over sex ed persists, and sex ed was one of the questions submitted by the audience at the forum. Schaerr's answer revealed her focus on homosexuality.
What is the place of sex education in our schools? What issues are important? We're going to begin with Walker.
Nice to see you, Jim. Sex education in schools is a very sensitive topic. I worked really hard when I was the president of the PTSA at Magruder to engage parents in discussing, the new curriculum that was being formed. And people really didn't want to touch it. They had a meeting inviting all the parents there, and there were about 5 who came. And I couldn't decide whether they liked it or didn't like it or just didn't want to be involved. And I had people tell me all 3 things. If you're asking about our current sex education curriculum, I have 3 concerns with it. One is there is no opt-out for just the homosexual lessons. You have to opt out of all of it if you're going to opt out of those lessons. Those lessons are canned, very short things, but I think the parents ought to have that flexibility. I think they also,
thank you.
Check my website, I'll tell you.
Schaerr's opponent, incumbent Mike Durso, a longtime educator endorsed by the Maine local paper, voiced support for the curriculum.
Well, in a perfect world, it certainly would rest with the parents and it would take place at home. That being said, it is extremely important, and unfortunately there are those in our community, and it crosses, I think, all racial, socioeconomic lines, that don't get that type of discussion or dialogue at home. And I would say I'm reasonably comfortable with the curriculum that we have now. When I was principal of Springbrook High School, we piloted the 10th grade curriculum, and it is not perfect, but I think it is certainly the best we have now, and a step in the right direction.
Thank you. Pat O'Neill.
Pat O'Neill, running for her 4th term on the board, pointed out that the lawsuit by Schaerr and her allies has hobbled the school system's ability to improve the curriculum.
Well, I'm very proud of our curriculum and the progress that we made. Parents have to opt their children in. You must sign a permission slip for your child to participate, and every parent has the opportunity to preview the curriculum. But you know, it is carefully scripted, as Martha pointed out, the lessons talking about homosexuality. But that's because we were sued. We have absolutely a very tight curriculum on this because we felt it was important to progress, but we were not going to be challenged in court again. So we have a scripted curriculum.
In an interview after the forum, Schaerr insisted she was not hiding her involvement in the fight against the sex ed curriculum.
I'm just curious, I know you've been involved in some of the lawsuits around the sex education curriculum. Why is it that you haven't made that clearer? As a voter, don't you think that's something the voters would want to know about?
You know, you should check my website. That will give me a chance.
Well, what does that say? What does that say about it?
My website tells me what I've done on the issues.
Yes, but why, when you were addressing it, would you keep that fact concealed from the people in this room? Yes.
My time was up, ma'am. There's a lot more I'd like to say.
Had you planned to say?
About lawsuits?
And do you plan to try to alter?
Check my website.
Well, do you plan to try to alter the sex education curriculum now?
That's not an open question for the board right now.
That's not an
It's not on the agenda for the board right now. I don't know.
Well, would you like to propel it back onto the agenda?
I'm not sure.
Schaerr's website says only this: give students full information about the health risks of any sexual practice discussed in the curriculum. Such scare tactics are frequently used by the Christian right. David Fishback, who advised the school board on the sex ed curriculum as chair of a Citizens Advisory Committee on Family Life and Human Development, challenged Schaerr's expressions of concern for the taxpayer stakeholders.
Well, she is trying to run as a stealth candidate. The fact of the matter is that in 2007, a group called the Family Leader Network, of which she is a member of the board of directors, and her husband is chair of the board of directors, brought a frivolous lawsuit against the Board of Education trying to stop the changes in health education curriculum, which were based on the wisdom of the major mainstream medical associations. The suit was thrown out by the state superintendent of education, thrown out without a single dissenting vote by the State Board of Education, and then was thrown out by the Montgomery County Circuit Court. Nevertheless, the Montgomery County taxpayers, through MCPS, had to expend tens of thousands of dollars to defend this frivolous litigation. And it makes Ms. Schaerr's statement that she wants to make sure that every penny is spent properly so that you can keep support for public education. Well, she wasted tens of thousands of dollars because of an ideological lawsuit done in conjunction with people like, for example, Peter Sprigg, who was vice president of James Dobson's Family Research Council, who was on the board of Parents and Friends of Ex-Gays, PFOX.